Okay, enough is enough. This Trossard experiment in midfield has to finish. I know Martin Odegaard has returned, so it's very easy to say that now because he'll be in the first team in the next couple of weeks. But this Trossard thing has just been a disaster. Now, the first couple of games he came in and he did really well. But you can rely on a player of Trossard's calibre, his ability to provide in a couple of games. We all know, though, while many would suggest that he's probably the best 12th man in the Premier League, giving him a run of games and relying upon him out of position, you're running the risk of putting yourself in real harm, and Arsenal have done that. Now, if we go specific and we talk about his capabilities and abilities, he does not have what Martin Odegaard has, and many players really don't. But specifically Trossard, while he is very neat on the ball sometimes, he can go missing, and he has gone missing in the past couple of games. And I do think Arteta's missed the boat for giving Wanyeri an opportunity. I know I keep beating the drum for this and trying to call for Wanyeri to play, but we've seen in the short 5-10 minute cameos, he does more than what Trossard does in the whole entirety of the game. And so it is so frustrating when we're being realistic and watching this team play. Look, I'm talking about last night's game against Inter Milan, and even the Newcastle game, and even the Bournemouth game, and even the Liverpool game. If we're being totally honest, not good enough. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be real in this video because I don't want to sound reactionary like a lot of Arsenal fans are after losing, after being in a rough patch of form. But I do want to be realistic because it has shined some light on some worrying situations, and I'm sorry, it does just go back to the recruitment in the summer transfer window, not good enough. And I'm not going to go too deep on the transfer window because I've done that before, and I think we can save that for when January's approaching. I want to talk about the issues right now that we can address right now, and I do think, like I said, Arteta's missed the opportunity and we have dropped points and lost games which we didn't need to. And I think we could have salvaged something if we went for the right choice, if we took the risks that needed to be taken. Because for me, while not wanting to rely on a 17-year-old, okay, fair enough. But you're relying on something that's not working right now, and that's Trossard in midfield, and asking Havertz to drop into midfield as well, so Trossard can play in like a false nine sort of role. And it's just not working, especially when you got Martinelli, who's just not turned up for the past couple seasons. And you're looking at Saka like, please, can you just do something for us? Because no one else is doing anything. The problem is, Arsenal just look so void of ideas when trying to attack central zones that we're just constantly trying to recycle the ball out to Saka, hope that he produces a bit of magic, or do it the opposite side with Martinelli for him to do a spasm of feints trying to front up his opponent for him to end up making the wrong decision or producing either a semi-decent cross or just a shot into the side netting. And so when you be honest about the situation and you look at Martinelli saying, okay, he's not really a threat for us, that's one side of the pit. That's 1/3 of our attack gone, right? You're then looking at Saka, who gets triple teamed every time he gets the ball because he's the only one that actually produces something in Arsenal's attacks. So he's nullified. In moments, he will still pick out something because he is a good player. And so when Saka's nullified, when Martinelli's just non existent, and when Odegaard's missing, you've literally got Trossard there doing nothing. And realistically, if we're going to be honest, I've defended him for ages. Havertz is not really bringing us too much either. Not really bailing us out when we need someone to bail us out. And so there's just nothing in attack. And we're just relying and falling back upon our defence once again just to keep us in games. And shock horror, we've gone 2 games in a row without scoring a goal and we've lost both of those games. I mean, it's a pretty simple approach to play Arsenal right now. It's just sit back in a deep, disgusting block because they're not going to break it down and score. And just hope that you score one cheap little goal or earn a penalty here. Just hope that you manage to get a goal out of nowhere and you win the game because Arsenal are just not going to score. That's just how it looks right now. And it actually worryingly looks worse than what he did in the first half of last season. Of course, yes, Odegaard's not been playing. Nonetheless, Arsenal didn't look like we could score a goal before the Dubai trip last season. And then we found a way through set pieces to get up and running. And then from then we went and scored loads and loads of goals. But right now, we just don't look like we can score. Again, and this is just, if Liverpool are playing bad, it's alright because they've got a Salah who can just save the day. If Man City are playing bad, it's alright because they've got a Foden, a De Bruyne, a Haaland who can just save the day. When Arsenal are playing bad, yes, Saka can create a chance out of nowhere, but apart from that, really, we don't have a maverick. We don't have someone that's just going to save us. We don't have someone like a Gyökeres who can go and score us a goal out of nowhere, who can just outperform his XG. You know, you're looking at Havertz. Yes, there was a really good block in that game against Inter Milan where he was really close to scoring a goal out of nowhere. But if that's Salah, if that's Haaland, they just score it. There isn't a block. There isn't a deflection here and there. There isn't a slight miss. It's just a goal. It hits the back of the net and the game is a different game. And so we have to look at that because we just don't look like we can score right now. And I know Odegaard's coming back, but even when he's back, we're so reliant on one player just to create something. And it's not even finishing. It's the creation because we're not even creating anything right now. And I'm going to go back to the original point of this video. How and why has Arteta consistently stuck to playing Trossard and Havertz in this Odegaard role? It has not worked. Surely we've all seen this as well, that it's not worked. Somehow, why is he still persistent with it? And then I'm going to go back to Wanyeri. He comes on, he drops the shoulder and he takes 3 players out of the game on 2 occasions. More than what Trossard has done, the entirety of the game. For some reason, he's coming on the 81st minute. And so, I'm sorry, but serious questions have to be asked about the attackers. Because Arsenal's attack just isn't good, is it, really? If we're being totally honest. When you're fighting for top 4 or top 6, it's alright because teams are going to come out and try play against you. But when you're a dominant team going for a title, most teams are just going to sit back and hope to get a point against you. And it's about you having to implement some creativity, implement some dynamism and try and score and open up the game. If you can't break down a deep block, then you're done. We have a good defence, we have a good midfield, but when it enters that final phase, we're just clueless. We don't have another way around it. And I'm going to go back to it. I've been calling out for it since last season. This Arsenal team need a player who's just going to bail us out when we need them to. Someone that's just going to provide a little bit of magic. And I'm not saying someone that can come off the bench and just save you like a plan B type striker like a Giroud. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about someone who's ready to play in the starting 11 right now because I'm sorry, 2 positions in that forward line are lacking right now. And I'm being totally honest. I've been honest about the Martinelli thing for far longer than what most people are. And there's still a lot of people that are still backing him. Fair enough, that's fine. But if you can't see that he's clearly not good enough for where we want to go to, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. Now, the Havertz thing, I've backed him. And right now I'm seeing that, I'm sorry, maybe we need an upgrade there because you are not providing what we need you to provide. And now I've spoken about Martinelli, I've spoken about Havertz, I've spoken about Trossard, but let's have a look at who's meant to be coming on and impacting the game for us. Because when things aren't going well for Liverpool, when things aren't going well for City, do you know what they have? They have other options who can come out and help them. For us, we bring on Gabriel Jesus at halftime, and were any of you feeling enthused by his entrance? Because for me, I personally wasn't, and when he came on, he justified why I wasn't enthused by his entrance, because he did absolutely nothing. And the honest reality for Gabriel Jesus is he is just done for us now. He's not the player he was when he first joined the club and gave us life. He is not that player anymore. We're looking at players like Zinchenko, a left back, to come on and try help us win a game. That tells you everything you need to know. Raheem Sterling didn't get a kick. Why? Because he ain't good enough, probably. But why are we signing him on loan on deadline day? Probably because we have not done the business and we're panicking last minute. And this is a traditional mistake that we've made in the past under the Cronkies. When are we going to get some ambition and just go and win the title? Because we just look like this nearly team. We're becoming what we used to mock Tottenham for being. And I've been one of the most positive Arsenal fans after the past few years. But right now, we just have to be honest about it. If we don't beat Chelsea this weekend, the title is done. And that is 3 seasons in a row now we've fallen short to winning this Premier League title. And we have to be honest about the situation. Do I think Mikel Arteta is good enough to get us over the line? Yeah, I do. And I think you've got to be slightly crazy to think we should be sacking him and bringing someone else in. But we do have to be realistic about the individuals we have in this team. We have to be realistic about the lack of ambition that the owners are showing. Yes, we've spent money, but we've not spent anywhere near the amount of money that other teams have spent. Because I'm looking at our most recent window, Marino. I'm sorry, I know it's early, but I'm watching him thinking, what do? You win a couple of duels, but was it really worth getting rid of Granit Xhaka a couple of years ago? and then bringing in Kai Havertz for 65 million to fill that void for half a season, and then bringing in you. Look, I really hope it works out for him. I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong about so many players at Arsenal, and they've ended up being really good when I've doubted them. But I'm just looking at him thinking, I don't know what you bring us. I look at the great Man City teams of the past, and I look at when Pep Guardiola would use Fernandinho at the base and he'd play Bernardo Silva, David Silva in the tens with Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden as options as well. All four of them rotating between them two positions. And they just had so much attacking outlets, scored so many goals, and they were just ruthless. Sane, Sterling at their absolute peaks. They had Aguero there as well. And then they bring in Haaland, this absolute goal machine. They've got Rodri at the base, who's now just won a Ballon d'Or. Where is that quality in this Arsenal team? Can someone please tell me? Yes, Odegaard, really good player. Saka, yeah, really good player. The defense, really good. But yeah, Rice, not this season, but we know how good Rice is. But who's the star quality? Can someone please tell me who's the one that's just filling up the compilations every week for scoring goals, making magical assists, creating chances? Who is doing that? Because I'm watching this Arsenal team now and it's so dull, it's so boring to watch. And I don't think that's how Arteta plays. When we listen to the pundits compare him to Jose Mourinho, he is not a Jose Mourinho type manager. We've seen when he has all the cogs to play, he is a very attacking coach. He wants to suffocate teams. Anyone who watches Arsenal knows this. But right now, I'm sorry, you can't just lose your creative midfielder after letting go of Vieira and Smith Rowe in the summer, not replacing them, and then just revert into, oh, we'll just play Trossard there and play Havertz there. It doesn't work, but we'll just continue to do it because we don't have any other options. We do have another option. You're just not doing it. But I'm going to leave it at that. I just wanted to vent, really. I wanted to get it off my chest because this experiment with Trossard in the number 10 is just not working. I don't know if Odegaard's going to be back for the Chelsea game. He came on for 5 minutes against Inter. Whether or not he's fit enough to play against Chelsea, I'm not sure. But I just want at some point for us to just start playing free-flowing, fluid football again. With Rice at the 6, Partey's been really good, but we need to get Rice back in the 6 at some point. With Odegaard and Nwaneri both playing in those advanced 8 positions because Odegaard's very able to drop deeper. He proved that last season. He changed his role slightly and it was involved a lot more in build-up. That should give the license to Nwaneri to play more attacking. Will we see it? I don't know because I think this was the perfect opportunity to give Nwaneri the injection into the first team and he hasn't been given that opportunity. So I'm just looking at it thinking, what a waste. We've now just lost to Inter Milan, Newcastle. Yes, we beat Preston in between. Lost to Bournemouth, drew to Liverpool. Just not good enough. Really not good enough. Anyways, let me know what you think, what your solution would be. Make sure to like the video, subscribe. I'll speak to you soon.